Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're covering failure. Failure. If you have failed in any respect to any manifestation that you've created, or you're still waiting, you're still persisting, and you're starting to have some doubts about whether this works or not or anything like that, we're going to cover that in this video today out of chapter 24, Failure from the Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. And this is very good. So I'm going to break this down even further from Neville Goddard, and I'm going to explain all this because some of this can be confusing out of this book from Neville Goddard, but I'm going to break this down thoroughly so you can completely understand how it works with the law of assumption and how you cannot fail if you follow these instructions. All right, so here we go. All right, so this book would not be complete without some discussion of failure in the attempted use of the law of assumption. It is entirely possible that you either have had or will have a number of failures in this respect, many of them in really important matters. And if I had to say something about this, it's going to be more in important matters that you're going to fail because you have an attachment to the result. And having an attachment to the result of your manifestation can hinder you from actually achieving that end or getting that desire, whatever it is. That's why the ladder exercise, for instance, everyone that does that, 99.9% of anyone that actually follows the ladder exercise and actually climbs the ladder to sleep every night, but is writing it down, I will not climb a ladder, I will not climb a ladder. You're climbing the ladder to sleep. You're falling asleep while climbing this ladder. And the reason why this is manifested so quickly, I did this exercise on 2 different occasions. And the reason why it manifests so quickly is because you're not attached to the outcome. Because who cares about climbing a ladder? And if you can create money, or you can think of money or relationships or a new physique or a brand new car, a brand new house, whatever you're trying to manifest, if you can detach yourself from the want of it, just like climbing a ladder, it'll come to you just as quickly as climbing the ladder did, because you don't have an attachment to any result. And that's another secret with manifesting. Detaching from any specific result in whatever you're trying to manifest or whatever you're doing in life. Detach from any specific result, even if it's a relationship, even if it's a new career. Detach from any specific result that you're thinking that you want, and you will absolutely have it. Once you detach from that outcome of whatever you're trying to manifest, you will absolutely have it. You have increased your odds tremendously of getting it. And that's another part of failure that I want to discuss that Neville Goddard didn't discuss in this chapter, so I wanted to break that down. Detach from any specific result with your manifestation, and that'll lead you to it much, much faster. All right, so let's continue here. If having read this book, having a thorough knowledge of the application and working of the law of assumption, you faithfully apply it, and in any effort attain some intense desire and fail, what is the reason? What is the reason you're failing? If to the question, did you persist enough, you can answer yes. Okay, so some people are going to persist. They're going to persist, but they're going to be attached to some specific result while they're persisting. And that's part of the reasons why they failed. Okay, so, but he covers something different here. Okay, so to the question, did you persist enough, you can answer yes to that, and still the attainment of your desire was not realized. What is the reason for failure? The answer to this is the most important factor in the successful use of the law of assumption. The time it takes your assumption to become a fact, your desire to be fulfilled, is directly proportionate to the naturalness of your feeling of already being what you want to be, which I want to take us back to persistence. If you're persistent in your affirmations and your scripting and you're mentally rehearsing this and you're detached from the outcome, then you will not fail. There is no failure. There will be no failure for you if you can follow that rule right there of detaching from any specific outcome of what you're manifesting. And this, I'm going to be more clear about what this means. This means that you don't care whether it happens or not. You don't care whether you climb a ladder or not, or whether you make the money or not, or you have the relationship or not. You're detached from either way, getting it or not getting it. Either way, you're still happy and you're still fulfilled. You're still succeeding. You're still going to live the life that you want to live, and you have this in your mind. You keep this in your mind, and a lot of this can come down to your confidence. your confidence in yourself, because if you know, if I'm manifesting something and it doesn't happen for any reason, I don't care, because I know that I can create this over here, or I can create that over there. If this fails, I have 10 other avenues. But because I think like that, I'll get it the first time. I will get the thing because I think that way, even though I didn't have to go to those other routes. I didn't have to fail here and then have to attempt this one and attempt that one. I didn't fail because I had that outlook without any specific result, being like, this has to work. You know, it's like a newborn baby you're holding so close to you. You know, you're thinking it's gonna fall out of your hands. You know, and you're so attached to this. You're so attached to the failure of it. You know, that you are causing yourself to fail, and that's a big part of this. Neville Goddard doesn't cover this, but I like what he does here. This is really good. Okay, so. And the answer to this is the most important factor, the use of the law of assumption. The time it takes your assumption to become a fact, he's talking about naturalness here, which I also agree, because if you're making $30,000 a year right now, you want to be making $300,000 a year. And because that's a big jump, okay? So you're going to have to persist in this usually. I mean, it can happen quickly for some people. If you're detached from the result, the naturalness will take place much faster. That's another part of detaching from any specific result. The naturalness will come much faster for you because you'll be connected with the thing. You're no longer telling the subconscious mind that you don't have this thing, because a lot of times that's why the knot technique was even used. That's why Neville Goddard used the knot technique, because it detached you from the outcome of the event. You're saying, I will not do this. Okay, so I will not make $1 million. So you're no longer attached to it. Okay, so and that's translated to the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind is feeling this. Okay, he doesn't want $3 million, so he must already have it. Let's give it to him. In other words, that's the language that's used with the subconscious mind when you're detached from any specific outcome. So essentially, when Neville Goddard is talking about you have to feel the naturalness of it, you that's with persistence and actually transferring to that present concept of self of already having the thing. Once you transfer your personality to be someone that's making $3 million a year or whatever it is, you have transferred your version of yourself now, and you've become this person that makes that. So you're automatically going to be like really responsible and disciplined. You're going to be this person that can sustain this amount of money. So you're going to start growing in this way. You know, and as you grow, you're going to start seeing your income start growing, and you're going to start seeing yourself being a better communicator, and you're going to start networking. You're going to start learning certain skills. You're going to have different skill sets. And what this does is establishes the naturalness of making this $3 million a year or whatever you're trying to make. So that's what he's talking about with this. And this can be translated into anything that you're trying to create, the naturalness of it, detaching from the outcome, and all of these things. But he says right here, okay, so if you're not feeling natural in your state, that is the secret of your failure. If it doesn't feel natural, like you want to, for example, you're imagining making $300 million a year with a corporation, like you're this new concept of yourself, but you still find yourself being undisciplined, sleeping till noon, living in your mother's basement, flipping through TikTok all day, getting drunk on the weekends, doing recreational drugs or using drugs every day. These things, this means that you're not in your natural state to sustain that kind of wealth. So it's not going to happen. So you're not going to have that naturalness of making that kind of money and being this entrepreneur, whatever it is that you're trying to do. Okay, so that's what Neville Goddard's talking about here. And regardless of your desire, regardless of how faithfully and intelligently you follow the law, if you do not feel natural about what you want to be, you will not be it. So that comes back to what I just said, the naturalness of it, whatever you're creating. You're trying to create, even in a relationship, if you're trying to create the perfect specific person or a special person or a relationship of your dreams, but you're not that person. Like you're not a good person. Like you're a cheater, or you're not that type of person that you're looking for. That's not going to be natural for you to find this great person when you're not a great person yourself. So that's where you're fighting the subconscious mind, because you transfer to these parallel realities. You're transferring to these parallel realities that mirror your being, your concept of yourself. So who are you? Who are you? And that's what you're going to get. And that's what manifestation is. Manifestation is changing your concept of yourself to match and mirror what you want. So become what you want and you will have it. It's not about what you want. It's about who you are as a person, which is stated so many times in this book, The Power of Awareness, and it is absolutely true. All right, so that is a big part of this, of manifesting. It's absolutely one of the largest parts about it and the secret to manifest. If it does not feel natural to you to get a better job, you will not get a better job. The whole principle is vividly expressed by the Bible phrase, you die in your sins, John 8:24. And this is translated into this right here. You do not transcend from your present level to the state desired. That's what that Bible verse means in John. You die in your sins, okay? The Bible phrase, you die in your sins, that's exactly what it means. You don't transcend to the level of the state desired, okay? You failed, okay? Okay, so how can this feeling of naturalness be achieved? The secret lies in one word, imagination. For example, this is a very simple illustration. Assume you are securely chained to a large, heavy iron bench. You could not possibly run. In fact, you could not even walk. In these circumstances, it would be natural. It would not be natural for you to run. You could not even feel that it was natural for you to run, but you could easily imagine yourself running. In that instance, while your consciousness is filled with your imagined running, you have forgotten that you are bound. In imagination, your running was completely natural. The essential feeling of naturalness can be achieved by persistently feeling your consciousness with imagination. So he kind of goes back here to being persistent with your imagination, constantly imagining this thing, constantly imagining it, imagining yourself being what you want to be or having what you desire. All right, so I'm going to explain this a little bit better. Neville Goddard kind of contradicts himself a little bit here, where he's saying now that as long as you persist, that you will attain your desire and the naturalness will come. But in the original part of the chapter here, he comes in by saying, if to the question, did you persist enough, you can answer yes to that, and still the attainment of your desire was not realized. What is the reason for the failure? So now he's saying that all you have to do is persist, even though the original question is that, what he states is that you can persist enough and still not get your desire. So I'm going to expound on this, which I already kind of have with the naturalness of it. If you're failing, that means that you haven't attached from the outcome. That's a big part of the natural part of it, and being in that new version of yourself. Being in the new version of yourself that is so confident that you can create anything that you want, that it doesn't matter anymore. It does not matter whether you succeed with this manifestation. You have the mindset that even if this fails, I got 10 other things that I can do. I have so many options. I'm so confident with my manifestations and the things that I create that I'm not attached to any specific outcome with any one of them. And that will detach you from the outcome, which will create the naturalness of it, and then transform your concept of yourself to a very confident manifesting person. And because we know that you don't get what you want, you get who you are. So you're going to be very confident in this new personality, this new conception of yourself that you have, and that will overcome your failures. If you have failed or you are failing, that is the reason. That is 99.9% of the reason why you're failing, because you have a desire for some specific end, or you're attached to the specific outcome of that manifestation. So you have to detach from that. And I can give you guys exercises on that in further videos. But essentially, just knowing that, you can start consciously being aware of this while you're manifesting and work on it, just like that. But I can give you exercises on that. Okay, so let's continue. Progress can spring only from your imagination, your desire to transcend your present level of being. What you truly and literally must feel is that with your imagination, all things are possible. This is another point that he brings up here that will also help you by understanding that consciousness is the one and only reality, and what you're conscious of is an illusion, and that the past, isn't real, and you're living in a hologram. It's a high-tech simulated game. There's parallel realities, and everything that you've been taught and trained to believe about your world is all incorrect. I mean, you're not living in a solid reality, like you were told to. And once you start understanding this and filling your mind up with this and focusing on it, meditating on this will a lot of times free up your mind to where you can start manifesting anything that you want, because now you have a new belief. You have a new belief of the world that you're living in, and that you can create anything. And that's where Neville Goddard continues here with. You must realize that changes are not caused by caprice, but by a change of consciousness. You may fail to achieve or sustain the particular state of consciousness necessary to produce the effect you desire. But once you know, is where it gets into it. But once you know that consciousness is the only reality and is the sole creator of your particular world, and have burnt this truth into your whole being, then you know that success or failure is entirely in your own hands. Which, understanding this knowledge that we're learning on this channel will separate you from the rest, of people that still think they're living in a solid reality. Quantum physics shows now that, this infinite parallel reality, that basically we're living in a high-tech simulated game, or the Matrix. Some people call it the Matrix. It's a hologram that's projected from inside of you out, and you change your world by your present level of being and by your inner dialogue, your inner talking. You're changing everything in your world that way. And once you burn this into your core, your whole being, then your manifestation abilities grow substantially. All right. So that's what he's talking about here. So whether or not you are disciplined enough to sustain the required state of consciousness in specific instances has no bearing on the truth of the law itself. That an assumption, if persisted in, will harden into a fact. Absolutely. So the certainty of the truth of this law must remain despite great disappointment and tragedy. Even when you see the light of life go out and all the world go on as though it were still day, you must not believe that because your assumption failed to materialize, the truth that assumptions do not that the truth of that assumptions do materialize is a lie. If your assumptions are not fulfilled, it is because of some error or weakness in your consciousness. And I can tell you that I had failed in many respects because I had an attachment to the outcome. And once I could release that attachment and build the confidence within me and understanding and burning that into my being about consciousness, and that we're living in a high-tech simulated game or a hologram, that boosted my manifestation abilities exponentially. And everyone out there watching this video, you can do the same exact thing if you haven't already. But I just wanted to break this down with the naturalness of it and how you can start creating much more effectively if you are failing, detaching from that outcome and then creating it that way. Okay, so this is where Neville Goddard says, however, these errors and weaknesses can be overcome. Absolutely, because there's no question whether or not the law of assumption works. No question whatsoever. Okay, so therefore, press on to the attainment of ever higher levels of feeling that you are already the person that you want to be by changing your concept of yourself. And remember that the time it takes your assumption to become reality is proportionate to the naturalness of being it. And also detach from the outcome. Don't have any specific outcome for anything that you're doing, because you'll also notice that your anxiety goes down. Because if you have like a specific outcome, like if you're trying to sell something or you're trying to do something and you have like a specific outcome for it, it's like your anxiety's increased. I mean, everything, you're more nervous. But if you're not attached to any specific outcome, you're going to increase your performance by 100% in everything that you're doing if you don't have a specific outcome for it. And whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter to you. You're just enjoying your present moment awareness. You're just enjoying the moment, and that's when everything comes to you. That's when you're like a magnet for everything that you want in life. And that is the secret, a big secret to the law of assumption and attracting and creating and assuming anything and getting everything that you want in life is by detaching from the outcome. Okay, so man surrounds himself with a true image of himself. Absolutely. I mean, the world's a mirror. Okay, so and then you transfer to that world that mirrors your personal being, your concept of yourself. Every spirit builds itself a house, and beyond its house a world, and beyond its world a heaven. Know then that the world exists for you. For you, the phenomenon is perfect. What we are, that only can we see. All that Adam had, all that Caesar could, you have and can do. Adam called his house heaven and earth. Caesar called his house Rome. You perhaps call yours a cobbler's trade, 100 acres of land, or a scholar's garret. Yet line for line and point for point, your dominion is as great as theirs, though without fine name. Build, therefore, your own world as fast as you conform your life to the pure idea in your mind that will unfold its great proportion. Emerson. All right, guys, that's the end of this video. I want to give you a brief recap here on Failure, Chapter 24, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard says, persist persist until it becomes natural, which I completely agree with. But I also wanted to just add my own, which is detaching from any specific outcome. Remember that. Detach from any specific outcome. Build the confidence with your present level of being, and know that even the thing that you're manifesting is not that big of a deal, because there's a million more of the same things that you can manifest at any time. And just understanding that confidence within yourself and having that detaches you from any specific outcome. And when you do this, that will happen. The naturalness of achieving that manifestation will come to you 10 times faster and 100% efficiency. That's what I want to take from this chapter, and that's what I want to add to it, is detaching from any specific outcome in anything that you do. And you'll soon see that you're going to be a magnet for anything that you want in your life, and because you're detached from that outcome. So you're detaching, you're telling the subconscious mind that you now have the thing. So it's going to bring it to you. All right, guys, I love you guys very much. Don't forget to give me one thing you guys are grateful for in the comment box below, or anything else you want me to cover. And any questions you have, leave those in the box below. I read all the questions and all of the comments. And I was checking the analytics, and it does show that 100% of my viewers are actually subscribed to my channel. So thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you guys and all of your support. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.